Sports fans of the South, you did it. You officially made it to the start of the college football season, starting today or whenever you get this. It's football's here. We've got games kicking off on this Thursday. We've got games throughout the weekend, and this is just the precursor to when most teams actually don't get going until Labor Day weekend. But hey, we'll take it. It's called Week 0 in the college football world, and we're here to talk about it. And we're primarily here today to talk about the majority of the teams that are playing this first 0 weekend, and that's teams from the FCS ranks, the old 1AA football getting a little love on the Y'all Show with John Rawl. And the reason we're doing that is because we love all of our college football teams in the South. The FCS teams don't get as much love. They don't get the money, but they're out there. Some of them even pull off upsets over the big boys from time to time. And since most of those are the ones playing this weekend, why not say hello to our FCS fans here on this Week 0 edition of the show all about the South. Now, before we get to the FCS Love Fest here, there are some big boy football games going on this weekend, and we want to share with you, according to ESPN, the schedule here. You got the North Carolina TCU game. That's actually a game taking place way over across the pond in Ireland, and that game is going to be Saturday, and that's going to be a noon Eastern, 11 o'clock start on ESPN. So, yeah, you got North Carolina, the troubled program with Coach, the New England Patriot, Mr. Belichick. Is he going to be able to turn it around this year, or else he may be shown the door before the season's over with there in Chapel Hill if it ends up being a disastrous year, kind of like his first year was. TCU, they also have kind of struggled in recent years. A lot of these teams like TCU, with as much money as there is in Texas with the NIL going on, they're having a hard time here in this new paradigm shift that's happened in college football. We'll see if they can piece it together in 2026. Those two teams, I think, have the marquee matchup of this Week 0 for FBS teams. And then as far as other teams in the South, Virginia and NC State, that game was supposed to be played in Brazil, but it ended up getting canceled. They're going to play in Charlottesville, but it's not going to be an ACC contest of all things. It's sort of a non-ACC battle between the Pac and the Who's. And then as far as other teams from the South, you got FSU. They're going to be in the Doak against the Aggies of New Mexico State. And then the Memphis Tigers, with their new coach coming from Southern Miss, they've got a battle late on Saturday against UNLV and former Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen, now in year 2. And look, the Rebels of UNLV did a great job, in my opinion, with Mullen in his first year. And we'll see how well Memphis can come. They've got a incredible updated Liberty Bowl, Simmons Bank Stadium there in Memphis that they put a lot of effort into. They've made the attendance a little bit smaller there. The crowd size is going to be smaller, but it's a state-of-the-art looking facility now there in the midtown of Memphis. So that's the big boy football going on. But as I said to start this out, we want to really focus on what the majority of the games this weekend are going to be, and those are going to be FCS games starting here on this Thursday. You got games Thursday in FCS, games Friday, and then a lot on Saturday. But it's Week 0, the FCS domination that's going on across the country for 1AA, but specifically for our Southern teams. And again, this graphic, if you happen to be watching us on our YouTube channel or Facebook page of the Y'all Show, these are the Southern teams that are currently in the FCS Coaches Poll, Top 25 Coaches Poll, led by, I think, Abilene Christian might be the highest rank, or Tarleton State might be. It's one of the, there are 3 purple Texas schools in our FCS Top 25 right now, and only our Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin have been in this FCS league a long time. Abilene Christian and Tarleton State are fairly new to the FCS fun, having moved up. Some of them even want to keep on moving up. But for right now, 3 of those Texas schools in the top 25. You've got 2 Southern Conference schools, the Mercer Bears, and then the brand new team moving into the Southern Conference this year, the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. You've got the Southeastern Louisiana Lions in Hammond. They had a tough loss in their playoff last year at home at Strawberry Stadium to start the playoffs. But that team they lost to ended up being Illinois State, which ended up playing for the national championship. Should have won it, frankly. But the Lions kind of come back with a vengeance. You got the Skyhawks of UT Martin in there as well. How about the Lamar Cardinals out of Beaumont, Texas, as they in Southeastern are from the same conference, as well as SFA's in that same conference. And then Austin Peay, they're doing quite well there in Clarksville, Tennessee, with their UAC conference. And then the SC State Bulldogs out of the MEAC. Oddly enough, they're a HBCU. The other HBCU conference does not have a single team in the preseason top 25 of college football for the FCS ranks. So I don't know what's going on in the Alcorn and Jackson states and Alabama states and the Bethune-Cookmans of the world, but they need to step it up and get ranked here so we can talk about them. But yes, this article that I'm looking at from Hero Sports talks about how there's a 3-day FCS Week 0 that's going to have tons of games going on. And this article here at herosports.com walks through how this, in my opinion, is a cool deal. You know, for a while there, Montgomery, Alabama was hosting an FCS kickoff this Week 0. I don't think they're doing that anymore. In fact, there's going to be a game this Week 0. 2 games of note that I'm aware of I think are happening this weekend. I'll look at the schedule here in a second. There is your top 25 of the FCS ranks. One thing in FCS football that's different this year is the pesky Bison of North Dakota State have packed their bags and moved up to FBS football as they're now in the Mountain West Conference. So that opens the door for a lot of other teams, like the Bobcats of Montana State. You're defending champions of FCS football. They're the ones that beat Illinois State in Vanderbilt's stadium last year for the championship. Montana State's number 1 to start the season, and then their rival there in their state's number 2. I don't know why those Western schools do so well in FCS football. It's time for the Southern FCS schools to step it up. But if you look down, there's Tarleton State checking in at, what is that, number 6 in the rankings? Or is that 5? Something like that. Then you've got, as I said earlier, Tennessee Tech showing up here as they've moved over to the Southern Conference, where they'll be teaming up against Chattanooga and ETSU from the Volunteer State on a regular basis. You've got another SoCon school, the Bears of Mercer. They've got a really good matchup. Their first game this Week 0 is going to be on ESPN Saturday, so check that out. As mentioned, the Austin Peay Govs. How about the Yale Bulldogs checking in a preseason coaches poll in a big way in the top 20? That's a look at the rankings of FCS. Now, again, for some of the matchups going on this weekend, we've got some good ones. Again, starting on this Thursday, you can see there are a ton. If you've got the ESPN package that allows you to watch all these games, then again, this is kind of like Christmas for you. And I know this isn't FBS, but you've got a variety, let's just say, with Maine and Towson there in our great state of Maryland hosting a game starting at 6 Eastern, 5 Central on this Thursday, August 27th. And then as far as teams in the South, you got Murray State and Eastern Illinois with a battle. You've got also from the South, how about West Georgia? The former Braves, now Wolves, have got some great unis this year. I saw some graphic about what's going on in Carrollton, Georgia with them. And they've got a pretty good matchup there in Carrollton with Chattanooga coming down Interstate 75 to Atlanta to see them. Got to get my 75 and 85 correctly lined up. The Blue Hose of PC, Presbyterian, out of the Pioneer League, they've got UVA Wise and their awesome kicker Thomas, that I guess is their kicker, a guy that I know is there with the UVA Wise. The aforementioned top 25 Southeastern Louisiana, they've got Houston Christian, and I think that's a conference battle going on at Strawberry Stadium. Furman has, I didn't realize Anderson, which is right outside of Clemson. Anderson's got a football team, but the Anderson team is traveling just down the road on I-85 to take on Furman there in Greenville this weekend, on Thursday specifically. This is a cool game. So in Pensacola, the West Florida Argonauts have got their own stadium, and they got a huge fan base in Pensacola. And they've got the Southern Illinois Salukis coming all the way from Carbondale down to Pensacola for a pretty cool matchup. In fact, Southern Illinois they've got West Florida this weekend, and I think next weekend they play in Birmingham against Samford. I think I got that right. My expertise is on the South, not Southern Illinois, but I happened to be in Carbondale a couple of weeks ago, and I saw their schedule. But that's what's happening here on this Thursday, some games of note. Then, as I said, you've got several games taking place on the FCS side on Friday with nothing big on the southern side, in my opinion. But ESPN's got that Idaho-Cal Poly game for all you football. Just got to have it. And all you gamblers, I guess, you got a game Friday. Then we come to Saturday, and that's where starting early. 12 Eastern, 11 o'clock, you got games over on the eastern side of the country going on. And then as far as southern teams, you've got Alabama State and Southern with a battle that could be fun going on. And is that game, that one might be the one that I saw was in Birmingham. That matchup there is set, can't see there. But yeah, I think that's a neutral site. I think that game's in Birmingham, and I think North Alabama and Samford play in Huntsville, of all places, at Joe Davis Stadium, the old Huntsville Stars Stadium in Huntsville. They get a good contest going here this weekend. But just look at all those games. These are all FCS games for Week 0 taking place on this Saturday. And if you can't find something of note, and look, ESPN's got several of these games lined up. As I said, Mercer's got East Texas A&M coming into Macon. That game's going to be mid-afternoon on Saturday. And then ESPN 2 has, it looks like, a game going on with Tarleton State and Prairie View A&M, a battle of Lone Star State schools there in Stephenville, Texas. But that's just, again, a big day to welcome football back. Again, mostly on the FCS side. You've got other games, as mentioned before, on the FBS side. But if nothing else, it's the FCS domination of Week 0 of college football. Kudos to all of our schools there in the South, the 10 schools that are showing up in the top 25 to get the season going. Hopefully most of those schools, if not others, join them along the way, and we'll finally have some Southern schools capture the FCS crown when college football winds down in early, I think it was January, when they have the national championship now. And it's at Vanderbilt Stadium. They signed a contract, and VU's football stadium banks some kind of fifth bank. It's a bank from Tennessee that now has the naming rights. The old Vanderbilt Stadium's a thing of the past. But anyway, whatever it is there on West End, that's where they'll be hosting the FCS championship. Enjoy your college football, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or anything. It's back. It's back. It's back with a vengeance. And we will discuss football periodically here on the show. And for this time, it was an FCS love affair. Thanks for tuning in, and toe meets leather today.